Hey guys, this is a 30-second breakdown of the Palmetto State Armory Dagger. Let's get right into the first 30-second breakdown. That's where in the first 30 seconds, give or take, I give you guys my exact thoughts on this product before we get into the full review. That way you can just stop watching because now you know exactly what I say about this product, or you continue watching, find out why I say these things in further detail, and it does help out with the YouTube algorithm. So with the Dagger, the first thing people are gonna wanna know about this is a $300 gun actually worth it? Can it be reliable? Is it something that I could trust to conceal carry or use as a duty-driven gun? And hopefully I'll be able to help you guys answer that question throughout this video. So with this gun, I have put about just shy of 1,800 rounds through it. So I have two of these guns. I put 1,000 rounds through this one and just over 750 rounds through this one. I'll go over a little bit more detail why I have two of them in a little bit, but functionality, this gun has had zero malfunctions and just shy of 1,800 rounds, which is fantastic in my mind for a gun that costs you around $300. Let's go over real quick the benefits of the gun. You have the front serrations. The slide itself actually looks good. It comes with an optics cut, which isn't really the best on the market because it doesn't have locking lugs and other stuff, but it is an optics cut for just $60 more. You get that option. This one runs $300. This one's $360. So for that price point, can you really complain? This one comes with a threaded barrel, suppressor height sights. The sights are actually steel. They're still not very good, but they're actually steel, so they're not plastic, which surprises me for how cheap the gun itself is. The trigger is pretty atrocious, in which they would have went something different and probably would be the very first thing I would change out. The grip itself is very good, nice and comfortable. I really like the actual texturing they went with. The controversial part's gonna be this finger groove. It's gonna be kind of a opinion-based thing, whether your hands are gonna fit this very nicely or not. Everybody's different, everybody's grip's different, so for something that I can hold in my hand and say, hey, this is phenomenal, and I hand it to the next guy, they could say, wow, this is a horrible grip. But in my opinion, this is a really, really good grip, and the designs that they did in the swell, I think it fits my hand really well. And one of the coolest things about this is it takes Gen 3 Glock parts, so you can really replace this with so many different options that are on the market. So you can replace that trigger very easily, and you probably already have the part in your basement, which is cool. So the bad things that I said about this gun are fairly easy to change and switch out. Of course, that costs money, but when you're starting as low as $300, and this gun is very reliable so far in my experience, it might be worth to put a little extra money into it. So now let's go to my relationship with Palmetto. They did not send me these guns. I did buy both of these guns. Now with that being said, let's go over why I bought two guns. So my first thought was they have to be slacking in something for this price tag to be $300. After playing around with them and using them, I saw them at a SHOT Show. The quality of the gun seemed really nice. Everything seemed to be really good. The fact that they put steel sights on this, my first thought is quality control might have been where they're slacking and maybe cutting cost. So my thought was, buy two of them. See if maybe this one's really good and this one's not, and maybe they're different, or maybe in this instance, they both are very similar and they both have had zero malfunctions. So that's what I wanted to find with these guns, is if I could find something different between the two of them. If I could do this in every review, I would. I wish I could buy more of these and test them out, but unfortunately, cost-wise, it is not something that I can afford to do for every product that I test. But some products I do like to buy multiple of and try to get a more of a sample size. So I'm not just testing one and say, okay, this one's fantastic, because that's just the one I got. I would like to find more of them and test as many as possible. So that's what I did in this review, because I really wanted to test these thoroughly before I did a video. I wanted to push this out earlier just because it was more hot earlier in the year, but I wanted to make sure I got at least 1,000 rounds through one of these and close to 1,000. My goal was 2,000, 1,000 through both of them, but unfortunately I didn't make it quite there yet, but very close. And so far, again, no malfunctions in that time frame. So let's get right into the full review and go over top to bottom, and we'll go over all the parts of this gun. So the sights to start with, like I said, these are steel sights, which surprised me because of how cheap they are. I figured they would have went with plastic, really cheap sights. Now with that being said, the sights still aren't very good. There's nothing super special about them, and it would probably be something I would replace if I was keeping this as a concealed carry gun or a duty-driven gun. This one has suppressor height sights, which I think is cool. It comes with that because they had the optics cut, and this one just has the 3 dots. Very simple sights, nothing fancy. Do they work? Yes. Is there better out there? Absolutely. I would probably throw some Trigicons or Ameriglows on it, and you're gonna have much better success. Now in this instance where I have an optic on there, I'm probably not gonna change these out because these still work decent as a backup sight, but your optics where you're gonna wanna put your money at. So going down, you've got your optics cut. This is not a super great cut, but for the extra $60, you're getting what you pay for. You don't have any locking lugs. I have some cuts from companies like Jagerworks that are really top tier companies, and that's kind of where I'm basing this off of, so it's kind of apples to oranges, but I do want to compare it to the higher level. So this is not the best cut in the world. There's no locking lugs. It's very basic. Does it work? Yes. Is it the best? No. So again, you're getting what you pay for. Coming down to the slide, you have slide serrations, you have some chamfer cuts. The slide itself looks really nice. You're able to manipulate this in different ways if you want to, and they did a good job of making this look a little bit nicer than just a very basic slide. And it does have some functionality benefits with the fact that it's a little lighter weight because they cut off some stuff in the fact that it has the front serrations. Now coming down to the barrel, accuracy wise, if you guys are familiar with my channel, I don't do a ton of like shooting on paper, a bunch of different bullets and bipod stuff, accuracy testing. I just do the type of training that I do, and as long as I can hit and do what I want the gun to do, then I'm very content. When I point this at the target and my fundamentals are correct, I'm able to hit the target, and when I throw my fundamentals off, I miss. So the barrel itself is accurate enough for me, and it's probably going to be accurate enough for the majority of you. Now coming down to your trigger. This trigger is not good, and I really wish they would have went a different route. This is a hinge trigger, and I don't think it is a good choice. This would be absolutely the first thing I would switch out on this gun if this is a concealed carry or a duty-driven gun that I was using. Don't like the design. I think they kind of made a poor decision when they went with that. Maybe they change that in the next generation that they do of these, and I hope they do, but definitely not a fan of the trigger. It's not very nice. It's not smooth. It doesn't have a good crisp reset. It's bad. I don't like it. It's not a great trigger. I'll show you real quick here. So again, nothing fancy, nothing really that's going to blow your mind, but definitely the thing I would switch. Now coming over to the grip, and this is going to be controversial due to the fact that it has the finger groove. So Glock tried this and they ended up switching back to a smooth front. This is going to be really a personal preference. For me personally, and the way my hands are, this grip is really, really comfortable. I like the design, the ergonomics of it. The texture is really, really nice. Again, I could hand this to the next person. They could tell you this is the worst grip they've ever felt. Everybody's hands are different. Everybody's grips are different. I can just tell you my experience and what I feel about it. And I really, really like it. It fits really well on my hand. It's comfortable to shoot. And I think they did a good job with the designs of everything here. Should they remove this? Probably, if they want to fit more of a wider based people, but they went with the finger grooves. Not sure why they did it, but I'll be interested to see what other people think of that, or it's pretty easy just to grind that off if you don't like it. Coming down here to another kind of weird decision they did. There's a cutout here, and what that's for is stripping mags. Me personally, I've never had a issue where I've had to pull my mag out and strip it, but it's kind of like the bolt assist of an AR. Do you ever use it? Probably not, but the one time that you need it, you're definitely gonna wish you had it. So maybe that's the same instance as this. I have heard problems where people say the meat of their hand gets pinched in there because they have bigger hands, and it pinches when they seat the mag in there. Me personally, I don't have that problem because I have scrawny little hands, so that's not a problem I run into, but for those of you that might have that problem, that might be something to consider. Not necessarily a con saying it's the worst thing in the world, but definitely something you may want to consider. Now, one of the coolest parts of this gun, and the fact that it takes Gen 3 Glock parts. And what's so cool about that is there's so many options on the market right now for that style of gun. So you're able to replace or upgrade or customize this gun super easily and fairly cheap. Honestly, the majority of you might actually have a trigger downstairs for a Gen 3 or sights just laying around that you can just throw on this gun when you get it. Is it worth putting $100, $150 trigger, $100 sights on this? That's going to be a personal decision and up to you guys. So now let's go back and touch on the reliability of this. When it comes to a gun that you're going to conceal carry or use as a duty-driven gun, reliability functionality of a gun is huge, and I think one of the most important things when it comes to testing a firearm. And this gun has surprised me a ton. When I got this, I felt it, I held it, I was looking at it, I was like, man, this gun actually works and feels really good for the price. And then I shot it, and I shot it, and I shot it. I kept testing it, and 0 malfunctions and just shy of 1,800 rounds. And it honestly shocked me a ton. Really happy that it does run well. Both of these really, really well. A couple things broke in on them. They were kind of gritty at first. I lubed the crap out of them when I shot a lot, and they broke in and they felt a lot better. So when you get it, it might feel a little grindy or gritty, which again, is to be expected. It's a $300 gun, but once I shot more, it broke in very nicely, and the guns feel a lot better now and a lot more smooth. Now, a test I really like to do for a gun that people might want to conceal carry is I like to use different mags, which I did. I used the mag that comes with it, which is the Magpul mags. I use Glock mags. I use a couple other random off-brand Glock mags that aren't fantastic, but I just want to chuck in there to see if they'd work. Everything worked really well, but I also did the test where I put multiple different types of ammo and types of bullets in. So you got some different hollow points all in one mag, and then I go down and I burn it down, and this gun performed flawlessly. Did not have any issues with any of the different types of rounds that I put in. That to me is very important with a gun that you might consider concealed carrying. So now let's go over a question that I got asked quite frequently during the testing process of this, and that is this a gun that I would use for concealed carry and trust? And the very simple answer to that is no, I would not. And the reason I say that a little bit more detail is because there's other guns that I own that are better. There are guns that have a better track record, that have been proven, that I use better, that have just better parts. They're more expensive, and I trust personally more. Now, that's not saying that this couldn't be used. Now, when we go on a walk with my family out on the road, I always like to take a gun, and sometimes this one's there, and I will take that with me. I trust that this gun will do what it needs to do at that given time. Like I said, simple answer is no, I would not, but not saying that you absolutely couldn't. If you're really on a budget and $300 is all you have, I think this is a really good option, and it actually functions really well. So if 300 bucks and you're like, I just want a base gun, this is not a bad gun, and I'm really happy and actually surprised. I think surprised is the best answer that I have to say about this. I was shocked with how well this gun performed. That's what I wanted to happen. In the back of my head, I'm like, man, I really want this gun to work really well through the testing process, but I just kept thinking, I'm like, where's the catch? When is something gonna happen where I'm like, okay, it's a $300 gun, and the only thing I can think of is the sights and the trigger are really the things that it's kind of like, okay, that's where I see where this gun kind of lacks in price. But it's things that can be fairly easy to upgrade on your own. So with all this being said, I hope this video helped you make a better purchase decision to decide whether I really want this gun because of the things that we went over here, the reliability, or maybe I'll put a couple $100 more and get something that's a little more trusted. So it's always my goal to help you make a better purchase decision. I don't ever want to persuade you and say, oh, you have to buy this because a company sent it to me, or this is something that I'm testing, so you have to like it because I like it. The goal in these videos is always to help you make a better decision, what works best for you personally in your situation. If you guys want to help out my channel and the things I do here, there's a couple ways to do that down in the description, or some discount codes from companies that I trust that you can use to save some money, and there's a link to my website. Those things do help out the channel. A couple of companies that help me in the channel and thing I do is Howitzer and Brownells. Howitzer donates 5% of proceeds to charity, and they're a phenomenal clothing brand. Absolutely love them. They help LE, first responders, military, wounded warriors. They're just an absolutely phenomenal company, and they make super cool shirts and clothes and everything else. So check them out. Brownells is a company that supports me a ton, and I really appreciate them. Definitely check them out and show them some love. Other than that, guys, really excited to see what Palmetto does with this platform. At SHOT Show, I got to see their subcompact, and really excited to see what they do with different sizing in the next generation as they get this constructive criticism, where they go with it, and if they change some things. But the price of these guns and the reliability so far, in my experience, has been really good. So I'm excited to see what they come out with next. Other than that, guys, thank you so much, and I appreciate you all.